Morning everybody, how you doing? This is Sean, Junkyards and Barn Finds, and we are building, after having this on the shelf for 2 Christmases, we are finally going to build the Coca-Cola Fruehauf van trailer. This is the beaded van that comes, beaded trailer that comes with it, Fruehauf van. I think it's the 55-footer. Anyway, it's not going to take a long time to build. Let me pop a light on here real fast. It is Memorial Day. We're also watching the Indy 500 and then the Coca-Cola 600. But I just wanted to do a quick introduction here to this. So we already built, actually, that truck right there, the 352 pacemaker. We built that a year ago, and this has this is the AMT matching trailer. It has movable select the point tandem sliding suspension, which we'll probably put back there, not up here. It's 19 inches long. It's got 2 position support assembly, so we're gonna have it so that they're up, or maybe we'll have them down. I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet. But the biggest thing we have to do is paint this red. So the only thing we're going to do today is take all the big pieces, the giant pieces, because this is a 19-inch long kit, and we're going to paint the big pieces red that we need to paint red. All right, so we painted the red. The next thing we need to do for right now is we're just going to, for tonight, we're going to take the base, follow these directions right here, and we are going to put the box together. I'm going to tape the box itself together, glue it, put the glue down, tape it into a even box, and to make sure that we have the correct angles. Whoops, a whole mess of stuff there. Okay, to make sure we have the correct angle, we will be using this square. All right guys, so basically what I did was I laid the floor down flat first, put one side on. Now I have I then flipped it over, laid it long again, glued this side on. Now while that, and I'm using tube glue because it takes a while for the tube glue to get to cure. Now we're going to put the top on here, or the front on, sorry, the front of the trailer on, and then we will put the top on. We're just going to lay the top on tonight. We're going to glue this front piece on here. We're going to lay it flat, lay the top on to make sure the sides and all are correct. Then tomorrow we'll put the doors and everything on it. Okay, so here's the whole box, or the van, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't know if we look inside there, you can see it's all red in there. I'm going to do something which may end up being a mistake, not sure yet, but I'm going to take this primer, which is a gray, I think it's gray, let's see, clean metal primer, I believe it's gray. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's gray, and we're going to spray it right inside there. And there you can see the inside is gray. And then I'll re-detail the red around the door. Alright, so it is now the next morning, and we've got the container itself is done. We sprayed the inside. We have not painted the silver on here yet, but we will later. So next thing we're going to do or first, is go back to step one. We're going to build the suspension assemblies, so we'll put those together, and when I have that done and we have this assembly together, we'll come back. It's not that hard, and probably not worth really watching, so we'll put that together and we'll be back when that when I have those sub-assemblies together. Alright guys, so we're almost done the trucks, but it's missing a couple of these little, it's missing a couple pieces that hold the brakes, and I guess the brackets that hold the air chambers for the air brakes in. They're called a push rod and slack adjuster. They were broken, so I only have two of them, so I put two on the back where you can see them. The other ones are going to be hidden anyway. I did put the air chambers up, but the push rod and slack adjusters were both broken. Well, two of the four were broken. Well, one's completely missing, but I'm not going to hold up the build for that, so I just went ahead and glued the four air chambers where they're supposed to be, and down the road I may or may not come back and put in the push rod and slack adjuster. Alright guys, so what I did was I took the rails. I don't want to, I put the rails, and I actually glued the trucks onto the rails because I don't want it moving. You might be somebody who's going to be moving them back and forth per different dioramas, but I'm not. So I just glued the rails to make sure they're square, and then also right here, which is the supports for the leg extensions, we have those so they're square, and put the mud flaps on here. So we're getting close. We have the wheels, and the wheel assemblies are painted right now. All right, so as you can see, I taped up the box because I'm going to do the bottom silver, because like an aluminum silver, because that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so we have our aluminum down the bottom. That looks really nice. we got all the tires done, and we have metal, the metal axles. I would suggest you get a small little bolt cutter like this. They're like $4, $6 over at Hobo Freight. And if you get one of these cut super easy and smooth any of these axles. And I can tell you right now, I don't even know, I've never built this kit. I can tell you, I have to almost cut usually about a little tip or some off of every axle I've ever made. So it's worth having a small one of these. Super easy, clips it cleanly flat, and just a tip there. Pro tip. I actually had to cut about 1/8 of an inch off the metal axles to get them to sit where they're supposed to. So now they're in, and I glued my metal axles on there so it doesn't roll anywhere, but you don't have to. Anyway, so the back truck is done. We're just waiting on doing the front support, and we also put in the tow hitch right up there, so the 5th wheel hitch. All right, we're just gonna let this stuff dry for a while. Alright, we're back. This is that Coca-Cola Dodge that we're still working on over there. So, here's the doors. I did the doors with the Sharpie. And here is the trailer. And we still have some stuff to do. We still have to build that part there. And the trucks, or whatever, the suspension, the trucks, I keep calling them trucks, but the trucks of this, I should put them on now according to directions, but here's the thing. Let me take them off here. There we go. All right. Usually I don't put the decals on anything until you're done building. It's the last step. But I don't want to move this around with this heavy truck set on here, because I'm going to be picking this up and moving it around like this and that and everything else, and putting all these decals on here. It's going to be a lot easier just to put the decals on there right now like this, because these decals, look how big these are. Look how giant these things are, right? So we're going to put the decals on first, then attach the trucks, attach the front, I don't even know what these are called, legs. So we're going to do, I'm going to put the decals on first. And with decals this big, you really need to use a decal set. So we're using Mark Fit Strong. And Mark Fit Strong is a decal set. I forget where I got these from. I think I just got it on Amazon. Then when we're done with that, we'll have it flipped over again like it is, and we'll go ahead and finish building the model. So right now, I'm just going to, and you really need to have this because this sidewall is not flat. It's I don't know, what do they call that, corrugated? So it's corrugated, and because it's corrugated, and also it's going to be a lot easier just to do these two doors when they're like next to each other like this, right? So we could put that Coca-Cola sticker across it and then cut it. We can cut it so it sits the correct way. So anyway, we're going to do that first, and then, if you ever seen Dude, Where's My Car? And then we'll go ahead and do the decals on that. Then we'll put this all together. So I'll come back when I have all the decals on it. Alright, so usually we don't have such a big water container, but we need to have something that those giant Coca-Cola decals will be able to fit in. So we're going to put on the big decals first, then we'll come back, we'll do one side, then we'll come back, do those doors, and then we'll do the other side. While that big water slide decal gets wet enough to separate from the backing paper, we will take the Mark Fit and just go ahead and put some of this decal set right here on the plastic. That just slides right off, very easy. You guys know how to put decals on. What I did was use this big brush though. So two things. I made sure that these letters lined up on the same, so they weren't crooked. So they lined up, so they weren't crooked. And I don't think, and so that's what I'm doing. Alright, while that dries, we're going to go ahead and put the smaller Coca-Cola, see the doors? So we're going to work on the doors, and so we're going to just go ahead and put the rest of the decals on just like we usually do. There's no sense showing it. You guys have all seen decals being put on, so we'll go ahead and put those on, and then we'll be back when the decals are done. Alright guys, so here's the thing. You can put this piece on here, and this piece goes over here on the doors, right? And you put this in here, and then the doors will open and close if that's what you want the doors to do. Okay, you can make them open and close, but so I can have that there, and then I just, so then we're gonna go ahead and glue that piece right here, and we'll leave this door so it can open, but it might not because I'm gluing where the hinges are, because I'm more concerned with doors falling off, honestly, than I am with these doors ever opening up again. So there's that one.
you know, let myself feel these feelings per se, if I just didn't process it correctly, but for whatever reason, in the past 6 months, it's been heavier for me than it was 6 months prior, so.
Actually, I'm not happy with that.
I
think I'm just going to glue them shut. Because really, I don't, once I put these up, I don't really move them or anything. And I'm not going to fill this up with Coca-Cola products. So we're just going to go ahead and glue this.
That sucks. Yeah. From
Does that look like the back of a real tractor trailer?
Yes, it does.
Hey everybody, so I use Pledge Revive It. I've talked about this before. A lot of professional model makers will put this on right before car shows or whatever. When they're done, it seals up the car. I always put it on when I'm done building the car, especially if it's got decals. And with that giant decal, you have to. All you do is you pour it in a cup and you just take your brush and just brush it on. It's going to be like that. It'll seal everything. Now also, if you notice, look how shiny that paint is, that silver paint. It is actually shinier than the chrome. It's almost a mirror finish. And I'll show you what I use, what spray paint I use. But it's really an excellent Rust-Oleum color that does that. So we're still working on putting all the decals on here before we put the trucks and everything on it. We still have a bunch of small decals to put on. And we did tape those doors, and I think those doors look just excellent. They just look so realistic. All right, so I'll be back.
That's what somebody called for a twisted ankle.
So we just used some tester's glue and cut these tubes, connected them here where there was holes, and then just connected them there, and now they're drying along with all the trucks are drying on there. And I don't even know what those are called, posts, whatever, but they're drying as well. All right, everybody, so here is the completed Coca-Cola tractor, well, the Coca-Cola trailer. And let's take a quick look around on it. So we've got all the decals on up front. We have the Fruehauf things on there. Below underneath, we've got the wiring. We've got the doors. Let's lift this up here. We've got all the cables and wiring and everything on here, and the trucks. So we have a lot of cool stuff. It really does look pretty realistic. Now, usually I would weather the trucks a little bit, and maybe if you look at the doors, they are weathered a little bit, but not really, because every real Coca-Cola tractor trailer that you see, they're pretty clean. So there's the trailer. Now let me get the tractor that we made for this. All right. So I'm gonna put that there. Lift this up. Fifth wheel. Fifth wheel. There. There we go. All right. So, if you look at earlier in our junkyard and barn find, you'll see us when we built this. Now, this was supposed to be painted all red because they say all the Coca-Cola trucks, but I liked a show that used to be called, that was on, called BJ and the Bear, and that was the Kenworth paint job he had. But anyway, there it is, and it is big. It's very big. In fact, here's a tube of glue, so you can see how big this is. It really doesn't even fit on my display here. All right, guys, so there's the tractor that we built. That was built a year and a half ago. This is the Coca-Cola trailer, which is what this kit is here, the AMT kit. So we are going to call this done. So the only thing that's different is this tractor is supposed to be painted like that, but I don't like just the red tractor, so I thought I'd make an interesting paint job with it. But other than that, we're calling it done for the AMT tractor and trailer from Coca-Cola. 1/25th scale, I believe. Is that what it says? I think it's 1/25th scale. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more models from Junkyards and Barn Finds, as well as our normal hot rods, car shows, racetracks, commentary, that kind of stuff. I'll talk to you later.